I dropped that song with Travis Green, and that after that, I became homeless.
Earlier this week, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, claimed the Democratic Party elite cheated their way into a system built for them.
Can you tell me how you went from being homeless to being a Grammy-nominated artist? Like, how does that even happen?
I guess I don't have the calculations. Like, I'm not like calculated with it, but I definitely know. I was living on my friend's couch, and I was supposed to be there only for a few months, and you know how it's just like I had nowhere to go, nothing, like no money for food, all this stuff. It was a horrible season. But I met my managers there. One of my managers lived upstairs. Her name is Sydney Scott, and so at the time I didn't know she was going to be my manager. But we ended up like working together because I was so depressed that she would come down and be like, "Oh, when are you gonna get back into music? Like, when are you gonna get writing again and all this stuff?" And I'm like, "I don't know, you know." And her and Taiwan, my two managers, they pretty much used to come over every day, and ultimately, like, they got me back into music and working harder, towards my goals. And I moved to Columbus, Georgia, in a trailer, a 2-bedroom trailer. And I wrote all like my number ones, a lot of my number ones in that trailer. And I didn't have much anything. And those were the songs. Those are some of the songs that transformed my life. I tried to give
Okay.
you the short version. I was like, how do I make this make sense in like a few seconds?
No, I think that was pretty good. So going from that, being homeless, living in trailers, like working on the pieces that we hear on the radio now, like every day, how does it feel to be a Grammy nominated artist? Like, did you foresee that taking place in your life?
And I thought I would have some Grammys, but not as fast. I'll only have one commercial album, Circles. And so I thought it would take a few records. I would have to wait for, maybe when I'm bigger or whatever the case may be. And it's like, I feel grateful in that God is truly like he loves me. Like, he's truly like in it all, and everything has a purpose. Everything has, it's purpose. You know what I mean? And I would look back on being homeless or whatever. And sometimes like, "Ooh, that was such a horrible season." But I think like in God's eyes, it's more like, you know what I mean? I had to put you there for you to grow and become, a quality human and all these different things. I think that season of being homeless like brought about.
Yeah, for sure. And God has
But
a
I
way of
feel grateful. Yeah.
making sure that we have humble beginnings because he knows our story. He knows where he's taking us. And he knew that he was going to elevate you to this level, right? And
Yeah.
so, like you said, it helps you to understand other people, right? You'll be able to relate to other people. And it could possibly just keep you humble in the long run. Obviously, I don't know your heart. I don't know who you are as a person. But just from what I've gathered, um, it's important, right? Where you're going to remain grounded.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, just in everyday life, you know what I mean? You ever been to McDonald's ordering like some food, or like at like a fast food joint, or like Walmart or someplace that people would look at like as if like, okay, this is what we have as normal jobs. These are normal jobs. But even with those people, it's like, man, it's like we're all servants. You know what I mean? We're all serving our communities. We're serving our world. And I think like, no matter who you are, where you're from, how much money you have, or success, whatever, like we all should be grounded and humble, because you don't know who you're meeting. You don't know, what they're going through and all that stuff. So I would even say, before I even took off, I think it was important for God to be like, no matter where you are, you need to just be a quality human and really, really be legit. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
no, I love that. And that's facts. Totally agree with you. So, as you know, we live in a world where a lot of people don't believe in God. And if you try to share your testimony with some people, they think you're crazy, right? Believing in something that they believe doesn't exist. So, what's your motivation behind creating Christian music, not just writing, but putting yourself out there and performing Christian songs that you've created?
It's scary because, it's I'm an inspirational artist. So it's like, which a lot of Christian gospel artists are inspirational. It's like all the songs are inspiring and hopeful and joyful, no pun intended. But like, then you have to live it. So it's scary. It's like when you wake up, you were talking about joy, and then you're just like, what? You're gonna walk around the opposite of that, and people have to experience you in that way, and your songs aren't factual. All these different things. I think definitely like it's scary because being a Christian artist, I wouldn't say I'm a Christian artist. I would say I'm a Christian and I create for God because that's what I'm motivated to do. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes you can really be in over your head with some things you say and how you're like, I'm gonna burn for you, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then life hits you. And then like my grandfather died in 2020, and that was such a hard year. I wrote Voice of God out of it. But it was like, you have to actually live those lyrics after you write them, uh, and I think like more R&B artists, pop artists don't have that much of a problem because it's like you can fabricate, you can say whatever really, and no one cares. But like in Christian music or inspirational music, people kind of expect you to be what you're singing. So
It's almost like in a way where pastors feel that pressure, where
sure, exactly,
they're
exactly.
humans, right? And pastors make mistakes just like the rest of us, but it's almost like if you are singing about, like you're saying, being joyful, you would feel terrible if you're depressed and you're going through an episode. And I'm sorry that your grandfather passed away. I'm sending my
Oh
condolences.
yeah, thank you.
But you're human, right? And anybody could have spiraled into a depression or spiraled off and did other things, right, as a
Sure.
result of that depression. And so I can understand that pressure. But the good thing is, enough of us Christians have an understanding that God extends grace, and we should do the same to our brothers and sisters, not making excuses for behavior, but just having an understanding that we're all different and we all have our weaknesses and we are susceptible to the things of this world, unfortunately. But I love that honesty and
Thank
that you're being vulnerable with that, because it's true. It
you.
really is. And I don't think a lot of people think about that when we think of Christian artists. We're
Yeah,
just like, oh my gosh, they're producing this great music that we love. They're so great. But if you
yeah,
see a headline where they've done something wrong or something counter to what God would like them to do, then people are bashing them. And it's just like,
sure.
well, you don't know what that feels like to be on that level. You have no idea what you're exposed to being on this level, right? You don't understand the
And
spiritual warfare you can be
yeah,
on this level. And so I think, yeah.
and it is a lot, like dealing with things on this level. However, it's like we all do know how it feels because it's like, we've all lost somebody. We've all been up. We've all been down. We've all had, scares where we didn't know we were going to pay our bills. We all had like, and famous people have the same exact stuff. It's like, yeah, more money, more problems. That is true. However, we ultimately are all the interior of ourselves. We're made the same. God made us the same as far as our hearts, our minds, how we're affected by things. If someone betrays you, you're going to feel the same way I'm going to feel about being betrayed. You know what I mean? If someone, all the stuff, like I think we have a lot more in common than we know. And I think sometimes it's best for us to kind of like put ourselves in people's shoes and try to understand, like even when like people at home would comment on my Instagram or something negative or something like that, I honestly, instead of being offended, I try to like put myself in their shoes, like, okay, maybe they just don't understand. Like I really do have grace on it because I'm like, maybe that they felt this way or that way. I try to like understand it. And I think like if we all try to like understand and like be there for each other, whether it's a hard time or just whatever, I think like the world would be a lot better place.
Oh, it would be. That's for sure. So
I
tell
love
me,
your hair too.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Mhm.
So, were you always a Christian, or would you say there was a pivotal moment in life that made you believe in God more than just when you were younger, maybe going to church and being told this is what you need to follow?
Yeah, like I was raised Christian, technically my parents weren't Christian, but my grandparents on both sides were. So they would take me to church every Sunday. My mom and dad went to church sometimes, it's like, but like mostly it was just me and my grandparents. And I went to church every Sunday. I went to Sunday school. I went to Bible study. I went to choir rehearsal. I went to vacation Bible school. I lived in church. Okay. And so my pivotal moment was when I was 16 years old. However, I had a personal encounter with God, listening to Kiara Sheard's "Free," and I got filled with the Holy Spirit. And yeah, it was like I guess that was my moment, I guess, because it was more personal at that point than when I would go, because I just enjoyed it. My grandma was there. And it's like, you know what I mean? So yeah, my grandma taught Sunday school, Bible study. She was like the queen of our church.
I absolutely love that.
She
I
was,
absolutely love that.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So what would or who would you say are your top 5 favorite Christian artists? It doesn't matter what the genre is, but like growing up or even now, who are the top 5 people that you admire and enjoy listening to?
It's kind of always been Israel Houghton, Kiera Sheard, Tasha Cobbs actually is number one in my, like, I used to be the biggest fan of Tasha. I'm still the biggest fan of Tasha Cobbs, even though we're friends. So Tasha Cobbs, I'd have to say Ty Tribbett. I listen to a lot of Ty Tribbett and Kirk Franklin. Those, I used to listen to those artists, like I knew I can still quote all their songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, those would be my top 5, I guess.
Okay. Those are some
Was that
of
a good
mine.
list?
Ty Tribbett. Yeah, that's a great list. Ty Tribbett got me through some really rough times.
Sure, yeah.
That man, I listened to him growing up. And of course, Kirk Franklin. I feel like he's on everybody's list. And Kiera Sheard, but everyone you mentioned, amazing artist, right?
Yeah,
and
so good.
I can see that. So I heard your song Joyful. I'm sure everyone has heard your song Joyful. I think it's an amazing song. It did remind me a little bit of Mali music, a little bit of his sound. Have you ever gotten that before?
Yeah, I mean, Mali was the in one era of my life, he was the biggest inspiration, to me. And so I take a lot of Mali music's like inflections and like different like vocal textures, and he changes texture of his voice up and like all this. I have a raspy voice, so it's like he has one as well. And it was like I kind of like just gravitated toward him because of our sounds were similar a little bit. And so a lot of my album, people probably like, oh yeah, I hear Mali in all of it,
So would you, like, I'm a huge fan of Mali musics as well. So would you say that that's your sound, or would you say there's something that is a little different from Mali music?
I mean, Mali has his thing and it's like profound, and he created something that hadn't been done before. I think what I did is I made lanes for like Black people in contemporary Christian music, not like Black people singing CCM, but Black people singing gospel music, or more soulful music on K Love Radio, on CCM radio. And that hadn't been done before. Joyful was the first song to ever chart simultaneously on gospel and CCM top 30. And so I think, I've taken a little bit of Mali, a little bit of Kirk, a little bit, like it's like a gumbo of like all these people, and we all, through me, created, I think, a lane for gospel music to be sang at the Doves and be sang at the K Love Awards. And not that it hadn't been sang at the Doves, but it's been sang in a certain form. I want it to be honored and appreciated at the highest level. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
No, I absolutely love that. So as we were saying earlier, you are going on tour this spring, but this is your first time going on tour. So I'm sure you have like a mixed bag of feelings. Tell me what that feels like and what you're looking forward to the most.
I don't know. I'm like, I'm open to whatever experience the Lord's going to like have for us. But I will say, I mean, I feel kind of like excited and ready. Like I feel energized to do it. You know what I mean? So that's exciting. I love when sometimes I get really, really nervous, and then it's different. But like I could say this time I'm more energized. I'm more like, let's go, let's do it. And that's a good sign. So
I love that. So are you the type of person that is more like Ty Tribbett when you perform, or would you say, where he's like having the time of his life, or would you say you're kind of like a Jonathan McReynolds? He's moving a little more these days. But would you say you're more like him, where he's like standing?
Jonathan, do not move. He doesn't move at all.
He's been moving a little bit. I've seen a couple of his latest concerts. That's trying.
My boy. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I guess I'm more like Ty. I guess I try to. I'm not as crazy as Ty. I definitely think I have a balance in like dance and like all that stuff. I don't. I guess do it the whole time, but on a joyful, it's like you have to move. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'll dance. I'll cut a step for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I love dancing too because it's just another way to express. I guess it's another way to communicate my message, I guess, when I'm on stage. So I really do enjoy dancing in front of people while singing. I think it's fun.
Okay, we're gonna have to see. I think your closest tour date for me, it's like May 16th or something. You'll be in Virginia. I'm in like the DMV. So I think that's the
You have to come.
closest. Yeah, no, I will. If I can make it, I will definitely come.
Okay.
All right. So let's just talk about new projects. Anything that you're working on or that are in the works. Obviously, you're focused on this tour, but is there like anything else that has your attention?
Yeah, like I'm in Redding, California right now working on my new album, and my brother Taiwan is producing on it, and Taiwan Mac and Lael, and it's been really really good. Like it's a whole new sound, a whole, I wouldn't say it's a whole new sound, I would, but it is. You can tell I've taken way more time to write it than past songs, which past songs I thought I took time, but this time I think just being way more intentional and not being afraid to talk about love, not being afraid to talk about my faith in a bold way, not been afraid to talk about, I guess, like the loss that everyone's experienced in in the last 2 years, and in a real way though. I'm trying to talk about it in a real way. And it's to me a really 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 good album, and songs are going to be released as early as Easter. So yeah.
I love that. Okay. A song that I really enjoyed is a collaboration you did with Travis Green. He's one of my favorites. So
Yeah,
just talk about what was
I was gonna say Travis. My
yeah.
top five.
You have to say Travis.
Yeah, I was gonna say Travis. I love
Could
him.
you just express to me like what that was like working with him?
You talking about The Giant Is Dead?
Yes.
So that's a funny story. Like Travis really believed in me before I was well known. No one knew me, and then Travis called me. I had just left the ministry, Eddie James Ministry. I did evangelistic and missionary work for 6 years, and so I literally, well, I was fresh out of that ministry, and Travis Green called me over to his house because he heard I was living in Charlotte, and called me over, and he said, "I want you to be on this song." I'm like, "No way." Oh my God, if I'm on a Travis Green song, that could be so crazy. So I'm like, oh my God, no one knows me. He's putting me on the song. And so he called me, and he definitely put me on the song on his album. And so that's on his second album. Me and him have a song called Fell in Love. And then I started working on my own music. This is right after the homeless era. And so that song, actually, I dropped that song with Travis Green, and that after that, I became homeless. Yeah. Yeah. And so anyway, pretty much Trav was able to be on a song that I was creating called The Giant Is Dead because of the favor. I guess because we worked together before, so we had that favor, towards each other. We're just there. We don't charge or anything like that. And so he did it, and I was an independent artist with no label, and my management. That was just a big deal for me. Thank you, Travis. That was a really really big deal for me to have my first single be with Travis Green. Yeah.
That's amazing. But like there's a story in there where, your first collaboration with Travis Green and then you go homeless. It's like a way to discourage you, right? It's just
Oh
like
my God, you don't even know. It's like you do know probably.
I do know. I totally get it, but just to see that take place, I know what you were feeling, what was going on, and it's like now you're here to be able to keep pushing, to have that faith, to continue to rely on God, and to be where you are right now. Just think about it. You could have given up, and everyone would have understood. You could
Yeah.
have literally given up, but you didn't. And I absolutely love that. Like, you don't understand that. Just blessed my life so much.
Yeah. I haven't never told him that. I honestly didn't do the timeline ever until now. Yeah, but that actually did happen in that order. Yeah.
Jeez, wow. Okay, just a couple more questions.
Yeah, sure.
What's something that people don't know about you? Something you love to share with the public?
Something that people don't know about me. I have so many weird things. I guess like funny, weird things that I do, but probably that I'm like, my friends will probably tell you I'm codependent or something on them. So like I don't do much on my own. Like I don't do much on my own. I love being around my friends, my team, my parents are always around me, my grandparents, you know. I think I'm just like yeah, a lot of my friends it's a joke. Like oh Dante's not coming along. Like, oh yeah, don't invite. You know what I
So
mean?
you're
So
just like, that's like your love language. You just have to be around people, and not in like some toxic way. It's just you love
no.
having the ones you
Yeah,
trust.
because it's like
Yeah.
yeah. Cause I'm really an introvert and very shy if I don't know you. But like with my friends in the room, I can somewhat loosen up and I find comfort in having like one or two people there that I love and I know. So usually I'm gonna bring yeah, it's like oh he's gonna bring a posse with him. Yeah.
I love that though. That's
Yeah,
like
it's fine. I think it's okay.
I feel like so many of us can relate to that. All right,
Right.
here's the last question here. What advice would you give to someone who is dealing with discouragement? Like we've been talking about, these last couple of years have been rough. They have been so rough. And so just talk to that person who is, they felt like they were going somewhere. They heard God give them a promise, give them a word, and they're just struggling to get to where they believe God wants them to be.
I'd say nothing lasts forever and that you know it may feel like the end all be all like it's like oh my god I ended up here as if that's the end, you know what I mean? And I think sometimes lately for me I've been trying to look at things in hindsight before you know it's later and you know what I mean I'm trying to look at it ahead of time, you know, above it all, and I think sometimes it's hard to do that, but I've learned, you know, last few months of doing that I've had less reactions to bad things that happen and I would just say, you know, like if something bad happens, you know, like I would challenge you to just pray about it and really like see it rightly, like try to see that situation rightly and don't be reactive out and nothing lasts forever. It's not the end all be all. You have more in you, you have more fight in you, and honestly a lot of people that give up they just didn't hear that, you know what I mean? Like you actually have more fight in you because of you know who you were created by. You know what I mean? He didn't make us weak and victims and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We really do have a lot of fight in us. So
Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ashlee M. Banks. If you enjoyed today's show and would like to support, feel free to send your donation via Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. No amount is too small, and whatever you donate will go towards expanding the show. I thank you in advance for your donation and for watching. I'll catch you next time.